Good morning, everyone. This is Julie McDonald with Microcom, and I'd like to thank all of you for attending today's webinar with Vertical Cable. Today's are Francis Chaig, he is the Director of Sales, as well as Hugo, he is their Client Relationship Manager, and both of them will be presenting today. If anyone has any questions, please in the question box so that Hugo or Francis will be able to answer them at the end of today's presentation. Thank you guys so much for being with us. We greatly look forward to what you have to share. I am finished for now, so please go ahead and take it on over.
Thank you, Judy, for the nice introduction. And my name is Francis with Vertical Cable. I am the Director of Sales with the company for 18 years. We are really happy to have Hugo join us. We all know fiber is good for us, but before Hugo joined the team, it was hard to chew and very difficult to digest. But ever since Hugo, joined us, and we've been doing some fiber training. Now, fiber, to me, it's very easy to eat and absorb. And I think you will find that what I meant in the presentation. So without any further ado, Hugo, please take it away.
Thank you, Francis, Julie, and everyone there. Thank you for joining us today. Again, my name is Hugo Arroyo with Vertical Cable. I've been an employee with Vertical Cable for roughly about a year now, but I have about 20 years experience out in the field, from installation to cable assemblies, to customer service and tech support and everything in between in the low voltage industry. Again, today's focus is going to be more around what is considered LIU boxes. LIU boxes is nothing more than a fancy term for fiber patch panels, essentially. So with vertical cable, with LIU, what that means is light interface unit. Again, it's used to organize fiber optics that comes in and out on a panel, on a rack, or on a wall. Again, this is used to splice fiber and things like that, and again, to organize fiber. So in simple terms, like I said, an LIU is nothing more than a fiber optic patch panel, an enclosure. It houses all the fiber that comes in, all the splices that are done internally. It organizes your patch cords for easy access and terminations for the technicians that are out on field. Again, and it provides a clean and structured way to route fibers, not only to the telecommunication rooms, to the data centers, to the equipment that's on the rack. So it is fundamental and important aspect of the fiber optic total system solution. So with that, some of the key important components that are included with fiber optic enclosures or LIU boxes. You have your adapter plates, which is your LGX adapter plates that hold the actual mating connectors on the front. Splice trays, which is basically that manages where fiber optics are spliced or basically welded together. There's a specific area in the enclosure where that is done. They're integrated cable management. Again, with fiber optic, it is glass, so fiber management is very critical to a fiber installation and fiber deployment, and also provides access to the ports. So those are fundamental important aspects of fiber optics. Now, we here at Vertical Cable, we have multiple options of fiber enclosures. We have the traditional rack mount versions. We have wall mount versions. DIN rail versions where we would use more on the industrial applications. And again, depending on the applications, it can either be DIN rail or it can actually be wall mounted. We also have outdoor applications. These are IP rated. Usually you would see them on the side of a building or a home. It's very important. Again, it's glass, it's light, it needs to be protected from the elements. So IP rating is very important on some of these enclosures. Now, Regarding the rack mount versions, we're going to go over a few of the series that we do have in stock out of beautiful Miami, Florida. Our standard series is a 3-position. This one is a 1U 3-position. So basically, it holds 3 adapter plates in the enclosure itself. It utilizes 1 rack space. Then we have a 6-position, so 6 adapter plates, 2 rack spaces, and our biggest unit, which is a 12-position, 4 rack spaces. So those are our standard series. Those are our bread and butter. Those are what we sell on a day-to-day basis. We also have for those budget series or budget installations where the money becomes a critical important factor, and they're again because of budget constraints and whatnot. We have an entry-level budget series, which is a 3-position 1U. What I failed to mention is with all these enclosures, as you can see, the standard series, it is a split. So the top portion splits up into 2. You have the side with the telecommunication, the system integrator, the installer actually does all his work, and then the front, which is where your patch cords go through, come from, and it goes to the equipment. So again, there's also a plexiglass that covers the patch cords front on the front of the panel. With the budget series, there is none of that. It is 1 unit. There is a sliding tray with no plexiglass. So it slides forward, and the systems integrator, the IT manager, or the technician does all of his splices on the inside of this unit. So when we talk about positions, we talk about those adapter plates. They come in various form factors and fiber counts. So for example, this one here that we see, it is a 3-position, 1 rack unit. So anytime we're dealing with enclosures, we're always looking at how many positions are in that enclosure. So like I said, this one in particular, it is a 3-position. So why is that important? Well, it depends on capacity and how many fibers that you can have. So for example, in a 1U that holds 3 adapter plates, depending on the connector type, for example, on the SC, I can have anywhere between 6 to 36 fiber strands housed in that enclosure. With an LC adapter, because that connector is much smaller, it's a smaller form factor, I can double the capacity up to 72 fibers. So in a 1U enclosure, if I use SC, maximum capacity is 36. If I use LC, 72 fibers. This 1U is great for small installations, IDF rooms, just at edge locations, because again, it's small and compact. If I need something bigger, I can go to a 2U with a maximum capacity of 72 fibers using an SC, or 144 fiber strands, individual strands in that enclosure. And our biggest one, which is a 4U, I can get it all the way up to 288 individual fiber strands in that enclosure. This is great for larger installations, rollout, MDF rooms. Now I'm throwing out these terminologies, IDF and MDF room. What does that mean? Well, let's assume we have our internet service provider. Our internet service providers goes to this telecommunication room, which is the MDF room. That's the main distribution. That main distribution is usually on the first floor. That's where everything comes in. Again, on the first floor. From there, it is distributed to multiple closets. Those individual closets are IDF room, intermediate distribution frame. And usually what you'll see is that you'll have one of these closets on each floor. That closet services all the equipment on that floor. So all the printers, all the access points, all the laptops, computers, anything that has a wired connection usually goes to that specific IDF room on that floor. It is all wired back to the MDF room, main distribution frame. That is how it works and how wiring, your basic wiring scheme works. Now here's my pooch, Lonnie, that jumps in and says you can only have one DF room. So whatever the install is, you can have only just one MDF room per site. So how does that look in terms of real world application? So let's look at this. You have your MDF room. You usually have your servers, which is connected to a core switch. ISP is connected there, and everything is connected to that core switch on the first floor. Now, from there, we have fiber runs to each individual floor. Depending on the number of fiber runs will dictate which enclosure you need. So for example, if you have a 12 fiber run, 12 fiber run to the third floor, you just need an enclosure that will house 12 fibers. So if you have 24, 48, 36, whatever that fiber count will dictate what size enclosure you have. So it's not a one size fits all. It is specifically to a specific project or that you're working on. So you can have a multiple different fiber enclosures. You can have rack mounts, you can have wall mount. It just depends on the application and the fiber count. So now from that fiber enclosure, it goes to those switches. Now those switches feed everything on those specific floors. Again, printers, laptops, access points, security cameras, access control, and all is done, that is done via usually copper connections. So your backbone, which is all your fiber runs, back from the IDF to the MDF room is typically done with fiber optics. Again, everything, including the copper, needs a patch panel. So these enclosures essentially become your patch panel. Now, understanding the LGX enclosures, it is very important and why we need it. It safeguards fiber optic connections from environmental hazards and physical damage. Again, fiber optic is glass. It's not like copper, it's fragile. So we need to bring this into an enclosure that can protect these connections. Again, the weakest point of any fiber is actually the connection point between the fiber and the connector. So we want to bring that into a closure to protect that. Again, organization. As we bring in these fibers, it needs to be organized. It needs to be terminated properly. It needs to be categorized and labeled. So the enclosure itself provides that for the installer. Scalability. Again, it allows for networks to grow. Everything is going to grow. Without the most expensive part of any installation is not the actual equipment, it's the labor. So we want to make sure that we lay the foundation on these of any network with the proper tools and proper equipment. And standardization. Now we use the LGX footprint. LGX is pretty standard, pretty common in the industry. So any adapter that is quote unquote LGX should fit in any enclosure and vice versa. So again, it allows for integrators to come in and add moves and changes fairly quickly. Now, some of the features and designs and benefits. Slide out tray for easy access. As that access comes in, as that tray can slide in and out, it reduces maintenance time. Again, installers can come in there, slide the tray out, do what they need to do, add moves, changes, troubleshooting. It just makes it a lot easier with this tray that we have. Bend radiuses. Again, fiber optic is glass, so maintaining proper bend radiuses is very important. It prevents any sort of signal loss. If I bend glass too tight, the fiber strands too tight, there could be signal loss and damage to the actual glass. We can actually crack the fiber. So part of our design is that we made sure that we kept the proper bend radiuses for fiber. So inside these enclosures, there is a spooling mechanism of spools that we can spool the excess fiber inside and properly maintain those the bend radiuses for the fiber. As I said, integrated cable management simplifies troubleshooting. As technician comes in, if they need to do anything, they can actually visually see what's going on in an enclosure. Without, if you don't have an enclosure, it just becomes a tangled mess. Again, with these, it's dust proof. It seals anything outside contaminants. With fiber contaminants, is one of those things that becomes you need to think about. It's light, so any sort of dust particle or anything like that can actually limit and damage the signal to the equipment. Now, again, with sizing, as I mentioned before, sizing becomes a very important factor. As we're dealing with customers, we need to know the number of existing fibers that needs to be housed. The last thing we want to do is undersize anything and having to rip and replace. So we always want to make sure. And we also want to make sure future expansion. One rule of thumb that is usually used in the industry is we add 30 to 50% for anticipated network growth over the next few years. So if they're using, I don't know, 10 fibers, we want to make sure we account for 15 fibers. Again, things like that over the next few years. Spatial constraints. So the last thing is we also want to make sure that that it fits where it needs to go. If our rack only has, one U left, we can't put a 4U enclosure in there. So we want to make sure that we size it to the physical space and limitations that are available on site. The connectors. Again, every different connectors have different requirements, SCs, LCs, or MPOs. So depending on what is needed, it requires either bend radiuses because they little protrude a little bit further out, the diameter of the cable, all that you have to take into consideration when sizing the right enclosure. Now, part of that sizing calculation method is let's document all the current fiber termination needed. Apply the growth factor to this. So when we're doing this, we need a growth factor of 1.5 to 2, again, 30 to 50% for those environments, depending on the environment that we're dealing with. If we're dealing with an office environment where we can, a growing company that's growing, we may want to apply the factor of 2. If it's a small operations, not so much. So understanding the dynamics that are involved can help in the long run and actually save money for our customers. Calculating port density, understanding how many ports is there. So again, with SC connectors, because that connector is a little bit bigger, it uses 12 SCs per LGX. With the LC, I can get up to 24 fibers per unit. So again, determining how many fibers, the size, growth factor, all that comes into consideration. My recommendation, if you were doing any new deployment, I would always suggest utilizing LC connectors. It just makes it much easier for active equipments, SFPs in particular, all LCs. It just makes a much easier transition and future-proof the network a bit. And also sizing the appropriate size. So again, meeting the capacity that's required not only for today, but for tomorrow. So choosing the right enclosure will dictate a lot of the capacity that you can have. Julie, with that ends my presentation. I'll kick it back to you for any questions or for Francis and I.
Thank you very much, Hugo and Francis, of course, for that presentation. And I do have some questions from the audience. Let's see about reading them off to you. Here we go for the first one, guys. If you are ready, I'm ready to go.
I'm ready.
Okay, terrific. Here we go. Are your fiber optic solutions compliant with the latest TIA, EIA, ISO, and NEC standards?
Yes, they're completely compliant with those standards. All of our fiber optics meet or exceed any particular standards that are out there. We're all UL certified and things like that. So yes, it meets every single compliancy.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Next question here. Do you offer bend insensitive fiber cables for tight spaces?
Yes. So we do offer both insensitive fiber for single mode and multi-mode. But so yes, depending on the fiber count, some of our fibers, we carry fiber from anywhere from 6 to 144 fiber strands, both indoor and outdoor, and also outside plant cable, both armored and non-armored.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Hugo. Next question here. What ingress protection ratings do your outdoor LIU boxes have?
If I'm not mistaken, please don't call me to that, and I will get back to you, but I believe they're IP65 or IP67.
Okay, no problem. Thank you. Going on, next question here. Are these racks standard series universally compatible with standard 19-inch equipment cabinets?
Yes, so all of our enclosures are the standard 19 inches. And one of those important, and that was a really good question that I failed to include. So the ears, the mounting brackets that are included with the enclosures will fit 19 inches, or you can flip them around and they'll work with a 23-inch rack. So yes, 19 or 23-inch.
Fantastic. Thank you for that. Couple more questions still here to go.
Sure.
Are mounting brackets or hardware included, or do they have to be purchased separately?
Okay, so all mounting hardware are included with the enclosure, the appropriate enclosures. So you have the enclosures, all the mounting hardware, screws, everything that you would need to mount the enclosure on the rack is included. What is not included are any of the ancillary products, such as splicing trays or the LGX adapter plates.
Thank you so much for that. Next question here. What industry standards like TIA, EIA, ISO, etc., do these racks comply with?
The actual standard, there is a specific standard that meets for actual size itself. Again, a lot of these enclosures, because there is nothing electrical about them, there is no certification per se, other than the actual size constraint of them. They are manufactured overseas, but again, there is no standard because there is nothing electrical about them.
Excellent, thank you. Last question here, guys. Can anyone go to your website to find customer service, tech support, and data sheets on your products?
Yes, on our website, you'll find data sheets, measurements, and everything that you would need for any of our products. And if there isn't anything on the website, please feel free to reach out to Francis or myself. We will make sure that you get them. But yes, all of our specification sheets are on our website.
Excellent. Thank you guys so much for answering those questions for us today. And also thank you to everyone who joined today's webinar. And if anyone still has any further questions, please feel free to contact your sales rep or email us at sales@microcomtech.com. And if you wish to view any of the products mentioned or shown today, please remember that this webinar presentation has been recorded and will be uploaded to our Microcom YouTube channel so we can all view it again. Francis and Hugo, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate you guys. I'm going to reach out to you so we can do this again and showcase the next stage that you'd like to share with us.
Thank you.
Everybody,
Thank you.
you are welcome. Thank you so much. We'll do this again. Everybody have a fantastic day.
Thank you.
Bye-bye now.
Bye.